Okay, how's everybody doing today? Today is January 23rd, and I'm in San Diego, California, and it's 2:26 p.m. Sorry, I made the wrong time yesterday. I said I was in the afternoon. I was actually in the morning. But I want to talk a little bit more about everybody, well, people who like Bitcoin or people who watch Bitcoin every day probably want to talk about Bitcoin. So I want to talk about Bitcoin because we had a big drop off from where we were at just a few days ago, which we were close to $50,000. Now we're down in $39,000. So what the hell happened? Why in the world did this thing drop so much? And what's behind it? I mean, it was supposed to go up, not go down. So this has been kind of like the painful time for us in Bitcoin. And as I've said before, you can never call these things with Bitcoin. I mean, there's always there's always these things going on with Bitcoin that it's like, it's mysterious. It's like all of a sudden, we got this Grayscale Trust. It opened in 2013. They got 2.1 billion, or 21 billion, I think it was 21 billion worth of Bitcoin stashed away in this ETF not ETF. It was in a trust. And of course you could buy shares in the trust. So we had this thing stashed away, and all of a sudden, all these Bitcoins that have been accumulating from some 2013 all get dumped on the market in the last week or so, driving the price down to $39,000. And we're not getting any support, I think, from, and I'm coming to a couple conclusions about this thing. What happened with it? In fact, I'll share the screen with you in a second and show you how it is starting to drop. The number of shares that the ETF or the trust is starting to it's dwindling down from where they started. But I've got a couple conclusions from this. The first conclusion is that these people that own this trust, this Grayscale Trust, they are not individual investors. This is too calculated. The way they've sold off this Bitcoin, it's been about $1 billion a day, and they haven't done it the first day they sold 54 million shares, but after that they've been selling in the pretty steady in about the 30 million share range. And they're doing that because they don't want to drive the Bitcoin, the share price down. They don't want to drive down the trust share price down lower by just dumping it all at one time. So they've been incrementally dumping it over the past week and a half, 2 weeks, actually past week. So that shows me this is a coordinated effort with the Grayscale Trust. They are coordinating selling their shares in that trust because it's been coming out very regularly at a pretty good rate. And of course, yesterday we had the FTX deal where Sam Bankman-Fried, the gift that keeps on giving, and his minions, they had some of that Grayscale Trust. So they dumped $1 billion yesterday on that, and that drove it down to 38,000, a little over 38,000. I don't know if it made 37,000 or not last night, but it was around that range. And we're not getting any overnight buyers. That's what my video was about last night. So no one else in the world's buying Bitcoin right now. I mean, it's like if the U.S. market isn't going or open, the world market is just kind of slowed down. So when I originally knew about the Bitcoin Trust, I was thinking it wasn't going to affect the market that much or the price that much, because if you own Bitcoin in a trust and now you have an ETF available to you, you probably just turn around and buy the ETF. So it's just going to be a wash. And then you have retail come in from BlackRock and the 10 other ETFs, and that'll just prop the market up. So Grayscale will be a wash. And then we have retail market. Well, what I think is going on right now is literally retail market still hasn't gotten involved with Bitcoin. What I think is going on personally is I think the Grayscale trusts are selling their shares in their trust. They're buying the ETF right now, probably BlackRock. BlackRock's selling BlackRock's buying $500 million worth of Bitcoin a day. And then the other $500 million, I don't know where it's going, but there could be some time delay in the fact that when you sell your Grayscale Trust coins, or whatever they want to call them, shares in that Grayscale Trust, it may take time to get the money to settle out the money and then reinvest back in Bitcoin. But I think some of the money that's coming in through the ETF is really the Grayscale money coming back into the ETF through the ETFs after selling the trust. They sell the trust, wait for a few days, get the money, and then repurchase the ETF, which means we should get a real bump when they run out of their shares of the of the Grayscale Trust. So when the trust runs out, which I just did a quick calculation this morning. I figured they had about 21. They had 21 billion. I think they're less than 10 billion now, based on where they started selling. You know, they could have started selling a few days before the announcement, because the volume went up way high right before the announcement. And then the day after the announcement, it went way, way high. And I'll show you this in a second. We'll look at the history of the Grayscale Trust. So I'm thinking that market may come back in here real quickly. And if it does, that's going to bump the price a few $1,000s. I mean, we've lost $10,000 on a Bitcoin. So if you had 3 Bitcoin, you know, a few weeks ago, you had 150,000 bucks. Today, you got 120,000 bucks. So, you know, we lost a significant amount of money here in the last few days as far as per Bitcoin. You know, $10,000 a Bitcoin, that'd be 30,000 bucks. You had 3 Bitcoin. You had a Bitcoin, you lost $10,000. So that's significant money for most people that are just ordinary investors. You know, obviously, if you're like a guy like person like Kathy Woods, person like or Michael Saylor, it's not going to hurt you much because you got so much Bitcoin. You can just, you know, but it makes a big difference when you get a $10,000 you know, decrease on a $30,000, $40,000 token. So yeah, it has been a significant hurt. It's been quite the deal. About the only person that come out on this is Jim Cramer, because he was right, because he said the price would go down, and now he can put a feather in his cap and say he called it. So anyway, I'm going to change my screen. I'm going to show you the volume on this Grayscale Trust and show you what I think is going to happen in the very near future, because that's what everybody wants to know. They don't want to know, and they want to know from somebody's perspective. They don't want to know from a pomp who gets in suit and tie and gets on all the big mainstream, you know, Bloomberg and, you know, all these different big mainstream telecasts nobody listens to anymore, because they're not going to give you up-to-date information, and they're just giving you what they'll allow you to say. They won't let you say everything that you want to say. They just tell you generalities. They don't tell you anything specific. Somebody like me will try to tell you something more specific, something more that you can hang your hat on for a day or two, rather than just, oh, it's wonderful because we've got the ETFs and now everything's going to the moon and pretty quick we'll have $1 million Bitcoin. That's what Kathy Wood says. That's what Michael Saylor says. They all just say this, oh, you know, everything's great. But in the meantime, there are some people, there's another YouTuber, I think he's kind of funny, I can't remember his name right now. Somebody asked him, he says, how much money do you have in Bitcoin? And he says, all of it. So when you've got all your money in Bitcoin and you need to remove some of it every now and then just to pay your mortgage or your rent or something like that, the day-to-day swings do make a difference. So you can't just sit there and say, oh, great, we had a little bit of a drop today, but the overall big picture looks wonderful and we're just going to go up forever. No, it's not working that way for some people. Some people literally, you know, have every penny they own in Bitcoin. If they have every penny they own in their Bitcoin, all of a sudden the Bitcoin drops of $10,000 in a few days. That's a big hurt for them. So anyway, let's jump to the other screen and I'll show you the information that I know from what I have, you know, done research on for myself. So let me switch screens here. Okay, I'm going to go to my browser. Okay, so let's go to the Grayscale Trust. So here's the Grayscale Trust. And if you look today, we're at 21 million volume. And this is okay, if you go way, way back, let's just go back to before the announcement, before the lawsuit. You can look at clear back. If you go back to August, I think the lawsuit was when the Grayscale sued the Security and Exchange to get the ETF. So if you go back, clear back, I'm doing something different here. I got to change my screen. I'm a little, this is getting, maybe I can drop myself down. Yeah, there we go. Pick myself up, drop myself, okay. So if you go back to this trust, you can see that the volume on a normal day was 2 million, 2 million, 2 million, 1 million, 2 million, 3 million, 3 million. 2 million, 1 million, 2 million, 2. So they're running between 1 and 2 million shares. God, we had a big day on August 29th of 19 million. I don't know what happened that day. These are institutions. I don't think these were individual investors. So here's 924,000. So here on September 22nd, we had 924,400 shares being exchanged. And probably, I don't know if they're being purchased or sold, because at this point they didn't know. that the ETF was going to come through. And I think in October is when Grayscale sued, and they won this lawsuit. So here we have a kind of a jump, and I don't know what day that lawsuit happened, but here we had 9 million shares sold or bought. Who knows? But it's probably sold. Here, God, how many do we have this day? Yeah, 2 million, 3 million, 3 million, 3 million. Now, some of these days we didn't have very many. Okay, now we jump forward. And here in December, actually, let's get up here in January. Okay, this is 2 days. Okay, we got to start figuring out about when people started selling this trust, knowing that they could reinvest in the ETF. So right here we had 6 million. And that's on January 4th. That's higher than usual. And here on January 2nd, we had 9 million. We have 4 million, 11 million, 9 million, 15 million. And then, of course, here, this is the day that the Securities and Exchange announced the ETF. So 15 million. Then we had the big day, 56 million. And then this is what's been driving the price down. 47 million, 26 million, 36 million, 29 million, 37 million, 30 million. And today we've had 21 million. So today has been the lowest volume day since the ETF got announced. So that's a good sign. Like I say, depending on where you want to start calculating of how many of these are all sell orders, we may have less than 10 billion left in this fund. I've tried to figure out how much is left in this trust, but all the figures that I'm getting are, based on the original 21 billion that they had to begin with. And I can't find anything that's being kept up to date as far as what they got left. All you can do is calculate it from here and just make the assumption that most of these are sell orders and not buy orders. Nobody's going to be buying this when the ETF is coming with basically, a 0.25% fee, where this is like a 1.5% fee. So these are institutional investors. They're bailing out of this. They're probably going to BlackRock. Let's see what BlackRock's ETF is today, the NASDAQ. I mean, this is the stuff you got to be watching. Don't watch the guys on CNBC or don't listen to Jim Cramer. You got to sit there and watch something that makes some sense. I think it's ID, right? Bitcoin or BlackRock. Bitcoin ETF. So what is that? I keep forgetting this. I got to remember what it's IBIT. Let me see if this gives me any information. No, they always got to give you a bunch of stuff that doesn't matter. NASDAQ, IBIT. Let's see what it's doing today. What's the old the Bitcoin obituary? Let's see what that's all about. Who knows? I'm not going to read that right now. Oh, I got the wrong. I don't have NASDAQ up. Oh, where now? Having a hard time finding this thing. There we go. Okay, here we go. So what is going on with this thing today? So it is up. Where's the volume at today? Volume is 20 million. So actually today's volume on Grayscale is 21 million, and these are probably all buys. But then again, you don't know if these are sales. This average volume, this is 20 million, so they're about netting each other out. But I'm thinking too, the other thing going on right now, a couple things. First of all, miners could be selling because we got the halving coming up. Second thing is that we do have energy problems because of the bad weather across the country. Let's look at that real quick. Let's look at the hash rate. So what's the hash rate doing for Bitcoin right now? See, the hash rate's way down. So if you look at these two lines, the blue one is the price, and the black one's the hash rate. So you can see the prices. Look at here, man, the price was way above the hash rate. Hash rate's been climbing, but right here, the hash rate took a huge dump. So on January 12th, the hash rate dropped clear down here. And of course, you can see the price correlates with that. The price falls down too. So we've got the Grayscale Trust, like institutional investors are maximizing the amount of shares and price that they're selling at, because see, if they sold like the 56 million, when they sold 56 million, the price was $40. Now they're selling as $34. So that price has dropped $6. So if they dumped all, let's say right this today, that day, they just totally dumped everything on this. First of all, they probably wouldn't have liquidity. And secondly, it's going to drive the price way down. So this has been a coordinated effort to get rid of these Grayscale Trust fund, shares. And then we got BlackRock, but you don't know how much of this BlackRock volume is Grayscale ETFs coming back into Bitcoin. So maybe they're selling the Grayscale Trust and they're buying the iShares, because there's 20 million sold, 20 million. There's 20 million volume here and 20 million volume there. So you don't know about 21 million volume here. So you don't know how much of this is being, this volume coming out of the trust is the volume going into the iShares. So we don't know. We don't know. This is the thing you don't know. And this is what's keeping the price where it's at, because I don't know how this is being adjusted. And we won't know for a while. It's going to take a few more days for this to wash out, but it will wash out. That's the good news. The good news is that this Grayscale Trust can't go on forever. They had a lot of Bitcoin. They've been accumulating since 2013, and they had a ton of Bitcoin. It's all hitting the market right now. And as soon as we can get this all figured out, we'll get back to this. But I think that the other thing going on is that these 11 ETFs that we all knew were going to affect the Bitcoin market a lot hasn't really come together like we thought, mainly because of the way the thing got announced by the Securities and Exchange Commission with the hacked tweet. And then the other thing is that you got people like Kramer and you got Jamie Dimon who are just really bad mouthing Bitcoin. So like the average everyday ordinary person may not be buying this trust like we thought they would, because of the way it was introduced and the way people have been introduced to this thing. It may be. And then the other thing, maybe someone said, oh, I'm going to buy it. And what do? They buy it and it goes down. So maybe they just say, hey, I don't want to play this game very long. I've lost some money already a few days. Maybe I'll just get out before I lost even more. And there's been a lot of panic selling, and there's just been a lot of, so the whole thing has been it's been a mess up. It's been a complete mess up. And a lot of it's been handled by the way it's been handled. So someone like me, who's been in Bitcoin for 10 years, that sees the overall big picture and then sees what's going on right now, is very frustrated. I'm very frustrated with this whole thing with Bitcoin, because I think it's just been mishandled and just hasn't been done very well. And of course, who knows, it's probably been done this way, coordinated with some people that just thought, hey, we can drive the price down when we announce ETF and get a lot of people in pretty cheaply. I don't know. Maybe that's what's going on. So anyway, let me see if I got anybody commenting. No comments yet. It's like I'm doing these things so randomly. I don't think people know that I'm live, but I am live. So if you want to comment, let me know. So at this point, I would say we're within a few days of getting rid of this Grayscale Trust, which would be nice. I mean, I'd like to see this thing go away. This has like been the biggest pain in the ass you can ever imagine. This Bitcoin Trust. It just keeps on, the gift that keeps on giving between FTX and this Bitcoin Scale Trust, or the Grayscale Bitcoin Trust. They have just been a complete bummer for people that are new to Bitcoin, and people that are just want to try out Bitcoin, to have this thing come in right at the time it gets announced to the public, and all of a sudden we got all these shares coming due that are, and then of course you don't know what people are doing with this money. Maybe they're going to something else. Maybe they're buying something. Maybe they're not. Maybe they're getting out of Bitcoin and they're just staying out of Bitcoin. They're not buying any more Bitcoin through the trust. I mean, through the ETFs. So hash rate's down. Grayscale is dumping still more Bitcoin, and of course the ETFs are still fairly new, even though they're doing massive volume. And I'm not looking at the other ones. I'm just looking at BlackRock because I know they're the biggest. I don't know what the other ones have done. Let me just see if we can find that. See what the volume is today for the Bitcoin ETF trusts. According to CoinMarketCap.com, the live ETF pair with a 24-hour trading volume of 21 million or 21,000. What's that? That must be that must be an individual ETF. BITO. I don't know what that is. I don't know if we can get something all of them. See what this says.
Top Bitcoin ETF products have seen inflows of more than $560 million. That was as the end of the trading day on Monday. This is all according to the latest data out from a Bloomberg ETF analyst. Well, the leader among the newly approved spot Bitcoin ETFs is BlackRock. That fund seeing over $270 million in inflows. Let's talk a little bit more about that. For that, we want to bring in Rachel Aguirre, BlackRock's U.S. head of iShare products. And Rachel, it's great to have you here. So just talk to us about what these last couple of weeks have been like your reaction to some of that excitement and the fact that it does seem to be cooling just a bit off of those very high elevated levels.
Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me. It's great to be here with both of you. I mean, I will say by every measure, this launch has gone incredibly well. We've really seen a groundswell of interest coming from many.
I hate the way she talks. She just says, I mean, just said so generous. Oh, we've seen a groundswell of interest. What does that mean?
Directions. When you look at volumes, when you look at flows, when you look at how the product itself is trading, the iShares Bitcoin Trust, what we like to refer to as IBIT, has traded more than $3.5 billion since its launch just a little over a week ago. We've brought in more than $1.6 billion in flows. We're the #1 issuer, new issuer, both in terms of volume as well as flows. When you look at the spreads, we're trading at a penny wide. This is exactly what you want to see. What we're here for is to provide investors access, and that's exactly what we're doing.
So what's next for BlackRock products? I mean, does this now clear the way for consideration of an Ethereum ETF as well? Yes,
it will. This is where they're going. They want to go to Ethereum, then they want to do Solana, and then they want to do XRP. They're going to do all of them because this is they're going to build out the infrastructure for cryptocurrency.
Well, it's really interesting, and thank you for the question. It's a great question because, this is really what innovation is all about.
Yeah, they call it innovation, but this is going to be building out the entire infrastructure of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies because we're going to go to a central bank digital currency.
We are constantly thinking about what it is that our clients need, staying ahead of those needs. And so we're going to continue to do that. We've been at the leading edge of innovation, and we will continue to be as well. It doesn't fall.
Yeah, Larry's going to make a lot of money on these deals because he's going to bring them all forward. So Fink and BlackRock, they're going to, and her, whoever she is, they're going to be bringing all these, so crypto bubbles. Let's go to crypto bubbles. Okay, so I bet you everything's down on crypto bubbles today. No, we're going in the green, so Bitcoin must be coming back up. Yeah, it is. It's up a little bit today. Maybe we'll get up over 40,000 yet today. But yeah, crypto bubbles is it's all green. So this is all means things. So these, look, pick out whatever you want to pick out here. You're probably going to be a winner if you hold it for a long period of time. Don't do Pulse and don't do Hex. But let me see if Solana's in here. EOS is up a little bit today. Bitcoin's up a little bit. So, I mean, these things are, that's BCE. That's Bitcoin Cash. I'm sorry. Aave's up a little bit. Cake is up a little bit. So this is what they're talking about is they're going to bring a lot of these forward, these ETFs forward for the infrastructure, so they can build out their digital system that they want to build out, their digital monetary system that's going to bail out the digital fiat currency, which is basically bankrupted for the last 45 years. That's made it so our wages are almost nothing versus what our expenses are. So wages are horrible, and housing, food, utilities, energy is off, off the market, off the scale as far as what it's costing and how it's appreciating. How the inflation rate is just is double digits when they're telling you, oh no, it's like 2% or something like that, 3%. That's bull-loney.
Follow a straight path. It involves risk, but that's what we're here for, and that's what we love.
I'm curious, Rachel, to get your perspective on the regulation conversation in terms of whether or not you think if we do get some sort of regulation, more regulation on crypto, on Bitcoin out of DC, is that something that you see as a driver there in terms of wider adoption surrounding crypto, surrounding Bitcoin? Is that a catalyst, do you think, for some of these investment vehicles?
Well, I'll say a few things here. First, we welcome the developments that we've seen on the regulatory front. But let's be clear. It's been investor demand, and it was investor demand that got Bitcoin ETFs over the line. It's really about providing access and.
Okay, I'm not going to play any more video, but look, there's been a lot of money coming through Bitcoin, but I don't know how much of that is the Grayscale Trust money. So it's 560 million, but we'll see. She's just going to blather on about stuff that, it's just very general. Yeah, if you want to watch this kind of stuff, there's content, this kind of content all over YouTube. If you just type in Bitcoin, people just give you this real glowing picture, and they don't really tell you about the day-to-day events with Bitcoin and what's going on. And then there's a lot of clickbait, like this guy right here. This is insane. I don't know what he's talking about when he says this is insane. And then it says danger. So this is all clickbait stuff. Here's the one I'm watching. That's me right now. I'm live. So this is all the clickbait stuff. Whatever you want to hear, you're going to find it right here. You want to hear Donald Trump is a Bitcoin bull, you'll find videos to that effect. You want to hear that Donald Trump's going to ruin Bitcoin and do everything you can to eliminate it, you'll find those videos too. So they're all over the place. You just kind of have to make your own. You have to use your own ideas. This is the guy I was talking about. Cryptos R Us. He's the guy who was telling me about, or saying that somebody asked him, how much Bitcoin do you have? He goes, all of it. He goes, yeah, knows how much money do you have in Bitcoin? He says, all of it. This is the guy right here. I'll play his video.
As for ETFs, yes, these big boys are adding. BlackRock has over 1.4 billion of Bitcoin in their ETF. Fidelity also has over 1.
Yeah, so he's showing you what's going on with these ETFs. So they are buying, and that they will continue to buy. But we need to see some price movement. We can't have the price keep going down and everybody get all excited. But we're having a little bit of a rally right now. Maybe all this stuff's starting to. And I noticed from yesterday when I made my video, you can't really trust this 21 million right here because it could go up before the end of the day because it doesn't close till 4 p.m. We're at almost 3 here in its West Coast. So 3, 4, 5. It's 6 p.m. in the East Coast, and then they have after hours trading. So we're probably going to be way short of where they were yesterday. We're at 21 million today. They were at 30 million. So yeah, maybe that is running out. If that's running out, you're going to see Bitcoin start to take off. We're at, what are we at? 39. Yeah, we're still $500 below 40,000. But let's see what Cryptos R Us has to say.
1.4 billion, and Bitwise and ARK both hold about $500 million. Okay, you add it all together, it's a lot. Okay, they're buying a lot. But what's also happening is Grayscale is selling a lot. In fact, yesterday they sold 640 million worth of Bitcoin from their fund. And it seems like that's escalating. It seems like every single day there's more.
Yeah, so he's saying basically the same thing I'm saying. Yeah, Bitcoin, the Grayscale Trust is selling, the ETFs are buying, and you might, maybe Larry Fink and these guys knew this. Maybe they knew they would have a lot of liquidity in Bitcoin. And see, we were all thinking Bitcoin would get squeezed because there'd be no liquidity. We had no idea that the Grayscale Trust, we did, but I just didn't think it would kind of play out the way it is. Okay, sorry about that phone call. So when I'm on my computer like this, I have the phone attached to my computer. So we had no idea how it was going to play out, but I do think we're getting to the end of this. So if you're hanging on for the end of the ETFs, then just keep on going because, in the end, I get those always confused, the trust and the ETF. You're waiting for this this Grayscale Trust thing to finally torch out, to burn out, to go away, to leave us alone. It's getting close. I would say we're within a few $1 billion of this thing being gone. And when it's gone, man, that's going to be a really nice day bump for the Bitcoin price. And let's see if it's jumping anywhere on this. Yeah, it's not really doing much, but I think it was. Did it go down to 38,000? 38,000. God, it went out down 38.5. Man, it took a nice tumble this last night. I wasn't checking it out during the evening, but woo, brother, we went all the way down to 38.5. Now we're back to 39.5. So we gained $1,000. So today's been a $1,000 pickup, and so if you had a Bitcoin, you picked up $1,000 today if you bought it at the very low. So like some people have been saying, this may be buying opportunity. So let me check, see if anybody has anything to say, and if they don't, I'm gonna got one thumbs up. I appreciate it. I'm gonna sign off, and hopefully we can talk tomorrow about this. And one of these days, that trust is gonna run out. When a trust runs out, we're gonna have some nice bull, some nice run-ups for Bitcoin, hopefully back up into where we were in the upper 40s. I'd like to see 47, 48, 40. I'd like to see 50, but I don't know if it's going to do quite that here in the next 2 or 3 weeks. But we could get close. If the Bitcoin Trust runs out this week, we could be looking at the mid 40s by next week, and probably the upper 40s the week after that. I appreciate you watching. Thank you.